Okay, so today we're going to talk about a show that I recently checked out for the first time. I watched one episode of it. I want to give my first impressions of the show. It's called Sweet Tooth, and it's an interesting Netflix show that's based on a DC comic book. Admittedly, I've never read the comic book, so I can't really compare it to the show or compare the show to the book, etc., etc. But the show, it's live action. It's not animated. It stars Christian Convery as a half deer, half human hybrid boy named Gus, and it's about basically him trying to make a journey to Colorado to find his mom over there, and it takes place at a time where there's a virus that wiped out massive amounts of people, which is another complicating factor. So I guess that makes it a post apocalyptic story, though I was never 100% sure what that term actually means, because if it's post apocalyptic, why are there actually people on Earth? Doesn't the doesn't the apocalypse actually mean that people are supposed to be gone, like up in heaven or whatever the hell? But anyway, it basically means that similar to The Walking Dead or similar shows and movies, the facilities are limited, resources might be scarce, and one must more often seek medical advice from some sage, learned elder rather than advanced medical treatment. So, if you get injured or sick, you might be in some serious trouble in this type of story. So I watched the first episode, like I said, and I was pleasantly surprised to see Will Forte playing Gus's dad, and he does a pretty solid job of taking care of Gus, in the first episode anyway. And I would imagine there will be some future flashbacks, regarding his dad and Gus and all that kind of stuff. But in the first episode, Will Forte is pretty prominent and he's a likable character. I don't remember the dad's name, but I'm just going to call him Will Forte. One thing that's a little bit weird about this story, other than a boy with antlers and all that, is that the hybrids are pretty mysterious. At least as this story begins, they are sort of like the X-Men, I guess, in that they are sort of naturally occurring creatures. When I first heard the premise, I assumed maybe someone was creating and raising hybrid children as part of an experiment to, I don't know, either just have a sick joke or maybe they want to replicate physical features, maybe lifestyles of deer and elk species in the human population, or some mad scientist crap like that. Maybe they wanted to cure a disease, or, these things often have sort of convoluted yet simple explanations for why things are the way they are. But really, in the first episode, it's just a mystery. You don't know why these hybrids are in existence. You don't know exactly what is even causing that virus or anything. It's just a lot of question marks, and that's part of what could reel a person in. You know, in addition to young Gus trying to find his most likely deceased mom in Colorado, the story could easily become about attempts to cure the virus, which means one might expect to see someone taken as an infected prisoner being tested and experimented on and stuff like that. And maybe there could be a major plot point about neutralizing the disease or, discovering its origins. Like, was it actually some weapon or some lab accident or something? Obviously, there might be parallels that some people might make to a certain virus that was recently pretty popular as a news story, you know? And, there could be some tasty connections there that a person might make. And if you were to tell me about these basic story elements, I might have assumed that at one point perhaps a mad scientist designed the hybrid babies and the blood of the sick, infected prisoners was used, and maybe they had the hybrids in some stasis chambers, and maybe they escaped and wreaked havoc on the human population and actually spread the virus and all that kind of fun stuff. But really, that does not seem to be the case based on the first episode. It's it's not like the hybrids are seeming to be a part of some nefarious plot. In fact, there almost seems to be a supernatural kind of thing. Although I don't really know exactly what that would be. But who knows? It's too early in the story for me to really say exactly what's going on. And I haven't read the comic book. And frankly, sometimes they depart from the comics, even in a drastic way, during a show like this. So I wouldn't, speculate too much on it after just seeing one episode. So what about the story? Do I like it? Actually, it's better than I thought it might be, and that's partly because of how it's told and how these characters are portrayed. Basically, Sweet Tooth quickly recovered from whatever initial flaws I might have attributed to it, and I was basically transported into Gus and his dad's world. And if I continue watching, maybe I'll be transported to Colorado and I'll see what Gus has to do over there. Gus escaped the stasis chamber and he's gradually becoming ready to kick ass and learn about his origins and head over to Colorado. Well, just kidding. I just said that. Obviously, that's not really part of the story, but the whole stasis chamber thing, it's almost like I had that in my head because I've seen Alien too many times or something like that. I just for some reason I wanted to see more labs and like experimentation and mad scientist stuff going on, but you know as the story unfolds it doesn't need that stuff, but that's what I was expecting, I guess is what I'm saying here. I think the average viewer might also continue following Gus and giving him more time to find his mother or other answers. It's sort of a show where even if you're not hugely into it, you might keep watching just to get some closure. Plus, I'm curious if I have some sort of, precognition, and if I watch further episodes, maybe a stasis chamber will pop up somewhere. You know, there might be some mad scientist kind of stuff going on, and maybe that will ruin the story. Even maybe it's better if it's kept mysterious. Finally, I want to mention the actor who plays Gus, whose name again is Christian Convery. Oddly enough, even though he's still just a kid, he's gotten plenty of work already. So I also saw him in Cocaine Bear, which is a kick-ass movie. In fact, I'm tempted to say I never need to review Cocaine Bear because just look at the title. You know what it's about. You'll watch it for that reason. Or if you don't watch it, it's probably because you're dumb or something. You don't have good taste and you don't want to see how cool it is to have a coked up bear go on a rampage. You know, just to admit it, you want to see that. Like some of you out there, you might be, I guess, too squeamish, or you want to seem too highbrow to admit that you would enjoy a movie like Cocaine Bear. But I just want you to put your guard down and just admit it, that you want to see a movie like Cocaine Bear, right? And it's more fun when you say it like Cocaine Bear instead of Cocaine Bear. That little emphasis, it just kind of makes it classier or something. But anyway, I'm getting a little sidetracked talking about the Cocaine Bear. Um, Christian Convery does a solid job in that movie, and he does a good job here too. And I think he's going to have a successful career without being, hopefully, without being victimized too much by Hollywood, because Hollywood's a bit famous for that, unfortunately. And I wish him success. I think he's already had success, certainly more success than I've had. And, I assume that that ball can keep on a rolling. And there's a solid chance I'll check out future episodes of this show because Sweet Tooth is a halfway decent show, even just based on that one episode. So I kind of recommend it for you. Go ahead and check it out if you have the time and if you're interested in seeing something like that. All right. So that's about all I need to say about it. Have a nice day.